Hello, everyone. This is Michael, and I will be reading the New Bedford Standard Times for today, Wednesday, May 6th. Starting off, let's take a look at the weather for today. Showers mainly later, though, breezy. Temperatures 63 during the day, 56 in the evening. Tomorrow, Thursday, breezy with some occasional rain. Temperatures a little higher, 66 during the day, 45 in the evening. On Friday, partly sunny, breezy in the afternoon, 64 during the day, 43 at night. On Saturday, considerable clouds, temperatures dipping a little bit, 60 during the day and 43 in the evening. And on Sunday, partly sunny with showers around, temperatures 64 during the day, 46 in the evening. In local news, firefighters battle fire at a scrap yard. Firefighters worked throughout the night battling a scrapyard fire in Westport that started Monday afternoon, May 4th, causing smoke plumes to travel for miles and settle densely over the Davis Road neighborhood. The fire at Mid-City Scrap on State Road required firefighters from dozens of departments in Massachusetts and Rhode Island to extinguish. According to a report from media partner WCVB, Westport Fire Chief Dan Baldwin said the first wave of firefighters arrived at approximately 3:35 p.m. Monday, and by Tuesday morning had spent more than 16 hours on scene tackling the blaze. Quote, first arriving companies found heavy fire and smoke coming from an extremely large pile of processed cars, unquote, Baldwin said. Quote, what that means is the vehicles no longer had the fuel on board or oil, but they do have the interior contents and tires, which was a majority of the smoke that we've seen throughout the area, unquote. The fire did not lead to any serious injuries, though Westport fire officials confirmed one employee was taken for treatment after being cut by some metal. In an update 3 a.m. Tuesday, the Westport Fire Department said crews remained on scene to work to extinguish, quote, deep-seated pockets of fire within the scrap pile, unquote. The fire department also updated the community that the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, along with state hazmat crews and the State Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, were on scene to monitor air quality, which was determined to have no elevated reading. Route 6 was closed in both directions between Route 88 to Gifford Road due to the Mid-City Scrap fire. Drivers who used the highway were told to seek alternate routes. A post about 6:30 a.m. Tuesday morning by the Westport Fire Department alerted residents that the Federal Environmental Protection Agency was on scene and, quote, is monitoring the air quality along Davis Road. At this time, they are reporting no elevated readings, unquote. The town's Board of Health alerted Monday evening that, quote, residents in the area of the smoke plume on Davis Road from State Road to Old Bedford Road, unquote, should shelter in place. The message was delivered through a reverse 911 message from Plymouth County Emergency System. Quote, due to the significant fire located at Mid-City Scrap, we are asking residents in that area to shelter in place, close all windows, and shut off all AC units out of an abundance of caution due to air quality. DEP is on scene conducting air quality sampling, unquote. Firefighters also went door to door around 9:30 p.m. Monday to talk to residents and offer shelter at a local hotel, according to the fire department. The fire department said Tuesday morning the cause is under investigation, but released a few details about their response. Quote, the fire department was dispatched to a reported scrap pile fire containing processed vehicles at approximately 3:34 yesterday afternoon, unquote, according to the department's Facebook statement. Quote, first arriving companies encountered heavy fire and smoke. Mutual companies from throughout the county and neighboring Rhode Island were requested for assistance. Quote, embers from the fire fueled by strong winds created several extensive brush fires adjacent to the scrapyard along Davis Road. These fires have been controlled and the areas along Davis Road are being monitored throughout the night, unquote. At this point, the fire is not deemed suspicious, Chief Baldwin told WCVB. Mid-Scrap City is located at 548 State Road, which is Route 6 in Westport. Mid-City Scrap's website says it is a, quote, comprehensive recycling services across the region, specializing in both ferrous and non-ferrous metals, unquote. and its Facebook page adds it deals with, quote, grades of waste paper and fiber from companies large and small throughout New England, unquote. Just before 8 p.m. Monday, Mid-City Scrap posted a message on its Facebook page that reported that, quote, all team members are safe and accounted for with no injuries, unquote. The message also thanked the community for the, quote, outpouring of support today. It truly means more than you know. We extend our sincere gratitude to the Westport Fire Department and all mutual aid crews. Your swift, professional response made all the difference. We are working closely with local authorities and will keep everyone posted as we make progress, unquote. According to the Westport Assessor Department, the scrapyard is owned by Mid-City Scrap Real Estate, a holding company based in New York City. The holding company bought the property for $10 in 2024 from a company named Mid-City Scrap Iron. The company owns about 20 acres of land and has 4 buildings on it. The combined assessed value was just over $3 million, according to assessor's records for 2026. There were numerous brush fires in communities along the South Coast on Monday, which were unrelated to the Mid-City Scrap Fire, but the weather did make it tough on firefighters. Fire Chief Baldwin said firefighters faced difficulty because of the size of the pile and because swampy and wooded areas prevented access from some sides, according to a WCVB report. Wind also propelled fire into the nearby wooded area. Just before 8 a.m. Monday, Westport Fire Department posted on its Facebook page the warning from the National Weather Service about the elevated fire potential in southern New England. They posted, quote, the combination of southwest winds gusting to 30 to 35 miles per hour, relative humidity as low as 25 to 35%, and a lack of significant rainfall over the past few days will lead to an elevated fire weather potential today, unquote. The elevated fire weather warning from the National Weather Service was scheduled to expire at 7 p.m. Monday. A gale warning and a wind advisory from the National Weather Service were both posted until Tuesday evening. In other local news, residents fight plan to build apartments. When Pleasant Street resident Naya Barros said the Kempton and Mill Street neighborhoods deserve special attention due to their historical significance, the community should have gotten a lot more respect from the city. Quote, I've been concerned about this project because it's not necessary, and it's not necessary because that area is inundated with houses, unquote, she said. Quote, I get that we need housing, but you can't just pick one area totally inundated with buildings where that is a historical area, unquote. Barros lives about a mile away from the site of what is now proposed to be 9 two-bedroom apartments on vacant land next to the United House of Prayer for All People. She isn't happy about plans for the site. The, quote, Daddy Grace area, unquote, holds deep historical and cultural significance as the heart of the United House of Prayer for All People founded by Charles Manuel Sweet Daddy Grace in 1926. She also said there was not enough notice and not enough noise around the project to make the community pay attention. She said Zoom meetings discourage community members from attending these meetings. Wednesday night's meeting was the first in-person meeting focusing on plans for the neighborhood after residents requested it and was agreed to by the New Bedford Planning Board. About 50 residents attended this meeting with concerns ranging from traffic, the site's close proximity to the church, to overall general safety concerns. The original plans called for a 4-story, 15-unit condominium complex on the north side of Kempton Street in a mixed-use business zone district. The lot is currently vacant. Despite the reduction from 15 to 9 two-bedroom apartments, neighbors feel it will have a negative impact on the community. The developer is required to have 9 parking spaces. Planning Board Chairman Shane Trimble said the reason for continuing the case has to reflect the substance of the case and not be a delay tactic, while at the same time trying to be sensitive to both parties. Trimble also asked what kind of outreach has been offered to the neighborhood and learned there had been a meeting of the NAACP of New Bedford building in March. The public hearing was continued to Wednesday, May 27th at 6 p.m. at a location to be determined, possibly closer to the Kempton Street site. Also today, ORR District recognized for music education. The Old Rochester Regional School District has been recognized as a best community for music education by the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation, according to a community announcement. This is the fourth consecutive year the district has received the honor. For 27 years, the Best Communities for Music Education has been awarded to districts nationwide that demonstrate outstanding efforts to provide music access and education to all students, according to the announcement. Recipients are selected through a rigorous application and review process that includes verified data on funding, instruction time, participation, and community engagement. Quote, "This honor belongs to our entire community, from our dedicated music teachers and talented students to the families and administrators who champion the arts," unquote, said Richard Laprice, general music and band teacher at Old Rochester Regional Junior High School. Quote, "At ORR, we believe music is an essential part of a well-rounded education, and this award validates our commitment to keeping music vibrant in our schools. Thank you for your continued support in making our district a place where music thrives," unquote. Quote, "Congratulations to all of our music educators and students," unquote, said Old Rochester Regional Junior High School Principal Silas Kellner. Quote, "Their dedication to the arts is the reason we have been recognized as a best community for music education for 4 years. We are always proud to see how our students grow as musicians and people during their time at Old Rochester. The encouragement and support they receive from their teachers creates a learning environment where they can thrive," unquote. Quote, "We are proud to be recognized as a leading district in music education," unquote, said Superintendent Michael S. Nelson. Quote, "Earning this honor 4 years in a row is a testament to our commitment to supporting a well-rounded education in academics and the arts. We understand the impact music has on our students and are proud to provide them with a music program that builds confidence, teamwork, and resilience," unquote. Taking a look at world and national news, the U.S. seeks to maintain ceasefire with Iran. President Donald Trump said on May 5th that he would briefly pause an operation to help escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz, citing progress toward a comprehensive agreement with Iran. Quote, "We have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed," unquote, Trump wrote on social media. There was no immediate reaction from Tehran, where it was very early on May 6th. Only hours earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was briefing reporters on the effort to escort stranded tankers through the strait. The day before, the U.S. military said it had destroyed several Iranian small boats, as well as cruise missiles and drones. Rubio and other senior administration officials said Iran could not be allowed to control traffic through the strait. Quote, "There's no shooting unless we're shot at first," unquote, Rubio told reporters at the White House, where he said the United States has achieved its objectives in its military campaign. Quote, "Operation Epic Fury is concluded," unquote, Rubio said. Quote, "We're not cheering for an additional situation to occur," unquote. One of Trump's central objectives in launching military strikes against Iran was to ensure Tehran does not develop a nuclear weapon, something Tehran has denied seeking. However, Iran has not handed over more than 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium. The Strait of Hormuz has also been virtually shut since the war began on February 28th, triggering disruptions that have pushed up commodity prices around the world. Iran effectively sealed off the strait, which handles 1/5 of the world's oil and gas supply, by threatening to deploy mines, drones, missiles, and fast attack craft. The United States is countered by blockading Iranian ports and mounting escorted transits for commercial vessels. While Rubio was speaking, Britain's Maritime Trade Operations Agency reported that a cargo vessel had been struck by a projectile in the strait. Further details of the incident were not immediately available. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said earlier on May 5th that the United States had successfully secured a path through the waterway and that hundreds of commercial ships were lining up to pass through. The 4-week-old truce with Iran was not over, he added. Quote, right now the ceasefire certainly holds, but we're going to be watching very, very closely, unquote, he said. General Dan Kane, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, said Iranian attacks against U.S. forces fell, quote, below the threshold of restarting major combat operations at this point, unquote. Asked what Iran would need to do to violate the ceasefire, Trump said, quote, they know what not to do, unquote. Shortly after Hegseth spoke, the United Arab Emirates Defense Ministry said its air defenses were again dealing with attacks coming from Iran, though Iran's Joint Military Command denied carrying out attacks. The UAE's foreign ministry said the attacks were a serious escalation and posed a direct threat to the country's security, adding that the Gulf Arab state reserved its, quote, full and legitimate right, unquote, to respond. Iran's foreign ministry rejected Abu Dhabi's statements, saying its armed forces' actions have been solely aimed at repelling American aggression. After issuing a new map of the narrow strait with an expanded Iranian area of control, Iran's Revolutionary Guards warned vessels to stick to the corridors they had set or face a, quote, decisive response, unquote. The U.S. military said on May 4th that 2 U.S. merchant ships made it through the strait without saying when, while shipping company Maersk said the Alliance Fairfax, a U.S.-flagged ship, exited the Gulf under U.S. military escort. Iran denied any crossings had taken place. The war has killed thousands as it has spread beyond Iran to Lebanon and the Gulf and roiled the global economy. The head of the International Monetary Fund said on May 5th that even if the conflict ended immediately, it would take 3 to 4 months to deal with the consequences. Rubio said 10 civilian sailors were among those who had died in the ongoing conflict, adding that crew on vessels stranded in the waterway were, quote, starving and, quote, isolated. Trump told reporters in the Oval Office that Iran's military had been reduced to firing pea shooters and Tehran wanted peace. Trump has said the U.S.-Israeli attacks aimed to eliminate what he called imminent threats from Iran, citing its missile programs and its support for Hamas and Hezbollah. Diplomatic efforts to end the conflict have yet to yield results. U.S. and Iranian officials have held one round of face-to-face peace talks, but attempts to set up further meetings have failed. Staying with the Iranian war, sources say that the U.S. finds limited new damage to Iran's nuclear stock. U.S. intelligence assessments indicate that the time Iran would need to build a nuclear weapon has not changed since last summer, when analysts estimated that a U.S.-Israeli attack had pushed back the timeline to up to a year, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. The assessments of Tehran's nuclear program remain broadly unchanged, even after 2 months of a war that President Donald Trump launched, in part to stop the Islamic Republic from developing a nuclear bomb. The latest U.S. and Israeli attacks that began on February 28th have focused on conventional military targets, but Israel has hit a number of significant nuclear facilities. The unchanged timeline suggests that significantly impeding Tehran's nuclear program may require destroying or removing Iran's remaining stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The war has stalled since the United States and Iran agreed to an April 7th truce to pursue peace. Tensions remain high as Iran has choked traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, blocking some 20% of world oil supplies and igniting a global energy crisis. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has said publicly that the United States aims to ensure Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon via ongoing negotiations with Tehran. U.S. intelligence agencies had concluded prior to June's 12-day war that Iran likely could produce enough bomb-grade uranium for a weapon and build a bomb in around 3 to 6 months, said 2 of the sources, all of whom requested anonymity to discuss U.S. intelligence. Following the June strikes by the United States that hit 3 nuclear complexes, U.S. intelligence estimates pushed that timeline back to about 9 months to a year, said the two sources and a person familiar with the assessments. The attacks destroyed or badly damaged the 3 enrichment plants known to have been operating at the time, but the UN nuclear watchdog has been unable to verify the whereabouts of some 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. It believes that about half was stored in an underground tunnel complex at the Isfahan Nuclear Research Center, but it has been unable to confirm that since inspections were suspended. The International Atomic Energy Agency assesses the total HEU stockpile would be enough for 10 bombs if further enriched. Quote, while Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities, Operation Epic Fury built on this success by decimating Iran's defense industrial base that they once leveraged as a protective shield around their pursuit of a nuclear weapon, unquote, said White House spokesperson Olivia Wales, referring to the June operation and the latest war that began in February. Quote, Trump has long been clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and he does not bluff, unquote. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence did not respond to a request for comment. U.S. officials, including Trump, repeatedly cite the need to eliminate Iran's nuclear program as a key objective of the war. Quote, Iran can never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. That is the goal of this operation, unquote, Vice President J.D. Vance wrote on X on March 2nd. The unchanging estimate of how long it would take Iran to build such a weapon reflects in part the focus of the latest U.S. and Israeli military campaign, the sources said. While Israel has struck nuclear-related targets, including a uranium processing facility in late March, U.S. attacks have concentrated on conventional military capabilities, Iran's leadership, and its military-industrial base. The unchanged estimates may also stem from a lack of major nuclear targets that can be readily and safely destroyed following June's military action, according to some analysts. Eric Brewer, a former senior U.S. intelligence analyst who led assessments of Iran's nuclear program, said it was not surprising that the assessments have not changed because recent U.S. strikes have not prioritized nuclear-related targets. Iran, quote, Iran still possesses all of its nuclear material as far as we know, unquote, said Brewer, vice president of the Nuclear Materials Study Program at the Nuclear Threat Initiative Arms Control think tank. Quote, that material is probably located in deeply buried underground sites where U.S. munitions can't penetrate, unquote. In recent weeks, U.S. officials have contemplated dangerous operations which would significantly impede Iran's nuclear efforts. Those options include ground raids to retrieve the HEU, believed to be stored in the tunnel complex at the Isfahan site. Iran has repeatedly denied seeking nuclear weapons. U.S. intelligence agencies and the IAEA say Tehran halted a warhead development effort in 2003, though some experts and Israel contend that it secretly preserved key parts of the program. Some officials have argued that U.S. strikes on Iranian air defenses have reduced the nuclear threat by diminishing Iran's ability to defend its nuclear sites should it decide to rush toward weaponization in the future. There also is the impact of Israel's assassinations of Iran's leading nuclear scientists. David Albright, a former UN nuclear inspector who runs the Institute for Science and International Security, said the killings have added significant uncertainty to Tehran's ability to build a bomb that would function as intended. Quote, I think everyone agrees knowledge can't be bombed, but know-how certainly can be destroyed, unquote, he said. DOJ plans to settle case with AG data firm. The U.S. Department of Justice plans to settle its case against data company AgriStats with an agreement officials hope will help drive down food costs, White House advisor Peter Navarro said on May 4th. The DOJ alleges AgriStats' weekly reports on meat pricing and sales enabled anti-competitive practices in the chicken, pork, and turkey industries. The case is scheduled to go to trial this month. AgriStats has called the claims baseless and said its services result in lower prices. The company representative did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Trump administration has been increasingly focused on affordability as Americans sour on how President Donald Trump has handled the rising cost of living. Speaking at the same press conference, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said the DOJ will use every law enforcement tool available to address rising food prices. Prosecutors have reviewed more than 3 million documents and conducted interviews in their ongoing probe of the meatpacking industry, Blanche said. He urged whistleblowers to come forward and potentially claim financial awards for information. Quote, multiple plant closures across the country, the current market structure, and high concentration in the industry indicate anti-competitive activity, unquote, Blanche said, without naming the companies involved. Tyson Foods, Cargill, JBS USA, and National Beef Packing Company slaughter about 85% of U.S. grain-fattened cattle that become meat in supermarkets. The companies have been accused in private lawsuits of conspiring to inflate U.S. beef prices by restricting supply. They have denied wrongdoing. Tyson, Cargill, and JBS have agreed to pay tens of millions of dollars to settle some claims. Spokespeople for the companies did not immediately respond to requests for comment on May 4th. And Amazon seeks to challenge UPS and FedEx. Amazon.com said on May 4th it would allow other businesses to store and ship goods ranging from raw materials to final products through its vast network as the e-commerce giant moves to challenge a market long dominated by UPS and FedEx. Quote, Amazon Supply Chain Services, unquote, will allow companies across industries such as retail, healthcare, and manufacturing to use the company's supply chain network spanning ocean, road, rail, and air. The move could position Amazon as a major player in the U.S. logistics industry, intensifying competition on pricing and speed for incumbents. The company boasts a fleet of more than 100 cargo planes, behind only FedEx and UPS, along with a vast network of warehouses and sorting hubs. Shares of FedEx and UPS fell more than 9% each, while Amazon rose nearly 1%. It would also help Amazon unlock a new growth opportunity for its e-commerce unit, building on a service that already supports thousands of independent third-party sellers on the platform worldwide. Companies can take advantage of Amazon's speedy 2 to 5 day delivery timelines, as well as inventory forecasting capabilities, among other distribution and fulfillment services. The move is, quote, a direct competitive blow, unquote, to parcel firms such as UPS and FedEx, analysts at Evercore ISI said in a note. Contract logistics firms DHL Supply Chain, Maersk Logistics, and GXO Logistics are also among the most exposed, they said. Amazon said companies can use its solutions across all of their sales channels, including their own website, social media, and physical stores. It said it has already signed on consumer goods major Procter & Gamble, industrial heavyweight 3M, and apparel firm American Eagle Outfitters. Amazon's expansion takes aim at the business-to-business shipping market, a prized high-margin segment for logistics firms where deliveries tend to be denser, more predictable, and less expensive to serve than consumer shipments. Meanwhile, UPS and FedEx have been de-emphasizing retail shipments and pursuing higher-profit healthcare, data center, and business-to-business shipments. Quote, we would not be surprised to see near-term weakness across the less-than-truckload air freight and forwarding complexes as the market assesses the competitive implications of the announcement, unquote, analysts at Baird said. That is all the time that I have right now. This has been Michael reading the New Bedford Standard Times for you for today, Wednesday, May 6th. Please have a wonderful day for yourself today.